Okay guys, so this will be the largest master plan for Eco World in Malaysia. In total 1,400 acres of land. Wow! And just now when we come in from the main road, we can already have a glimpse of the Dragonfly Park here. So just for coordination purposes, we are now located here, okay? So this will be the sales gallery. Also next to it will be the Grandio Labs, where they have all the small businesses and cafes and things like that. Very exciting, next to the entire stretch of commercial lot already. Going into the residence, you will pass by this amazing infrastructure. On the side here, this will be Evenham Garden, which is their first phase, and it's fully sold handover already, and we have witnessed it from afar just now. This will be Norton Garden already, so this will be phase 2, and there will be a few elements, and today we will go and check out one of the house called Garden Homes within this stretch here. So the back part, the courtyard homes, was fully sold. Going in around 3 km, there are still phases at the back. So coming over to the end, this will be the core home that we were here to visit 2 to 3 years ago. Now it has been handed over, and what's great news is this actually connects directly into city of Almina. And here you can really see the address picking up in popularity. You will have master plans and townships stacked next to each other, right? And you can really see the entire transformation of a barren land into beautiful townships. Amazing. Then in terms of accessibility wise, there's a few main highways. So number 1 is Dash, then you have Guthrie, a little bit more, then you will have Lata already. And around this location, what will be catalyst will be the UiTM hospital, where they can accommodate up to 400 beds. So it has been completed last year already, and surprisingly, something that we're going to check later, right? The commercial elements really took me by surprise. So they have handed over Utopia and Explanate, so those were the phase 1, and looking at the tenants that they have is amazing. So rumored has it 6,500 for ground floor rental for the shop lot. So something very unique that I have to mention, right, because this is part of my thesis during my studies also, right? This is the biodiversity education ribbon, where like 2017, last time when they just first got this piece of land, it was all oil palm. If you look into the opposite, actually that's the state that was in, and they engaged professionals to kind of have a master plan refinement and implementing all these SDGs. So these are rather universal, and today they have achieved 13 to 14 of them. They noticed that Eco Grandeur is located in between a bird migration flyway and also within Selangor itself. This location is a very important stop for it. Within the show village, part of their signature design is they have this backlane. There's a lot of space, and they start planting a lot of plants such as pandan and lemongrass, and this is heavily implemented throughout the entire development already. So in order to raise more awareness about this kind of nature-oriented approach, they have set aside this area for publics to kind of walk around and learn about the entire SDG approach. Now we are in this carbon garden. Here is where they take measurements of the amount of carbons absorbed throughout the entire phase of development. So after putting in more trees, putting in more plants, today gradually see more bird species here, more insect species here or whatsoever. And this is how it looks like. So physically, it looks like a park where people can just walk their dogs, or they bring their children to just have a chill around, but actually it's part of this scientific approach to kind of measure things. To encourage more interaction with people, they also introduce a lot of sculptures in bright colors, so people can actually take pictures with them. A cool way to kind of raise awareness. I like it. And this is where you can see they are constantly planting new plants around. That's good. So just several steps away from the carbon garden, now we are in the epiphyte garden, and what's different is they are looking at forests beyond single level. So when we look upwards, these are the parasite type, because ultimately forest is not dominated by singular species, it's a mixture of things. So here is where they start learning, they start examining, see which combination of plants and species will complement each other. We are now right behind this giant Eco Grandeur's logo. This is where they have all the experimental plots using this method called Miyawaki method of planting. Okay, it's basically just having a few sample size and they mix around different species to find that optimum mix to kind of have the best growth for plants. And they will then transfer all these learnings into the development itself, because ultimately if you look into the entire EcoWorld's projects, right, they have a lot of canvases, a lot of empty lands for landscape and plantation. So let's get scientific a little bit. This is actually plot 3, and if you can look into the grid line here, there's only 2 types of species. One is Tembusu, one is Indian Pulai. And if you look into the growth, is not that great, similar to that, right? So this is planted in a more random manner. Some are planted in the more rigid manner, where this is plot number 4. You can see that it's planted in a more rigid manner. Therefore, in terms of growth, you can see that it's not that great. Let's show you a fabulous one. So this is plot 7, and you can see that there are way more plants planted within the grids itself. And what does it mean? You have way healthier growth compared to only 2 species within the grid. And this is the best performing one. You can see that, whoa, this is super healthy. This is then plot 8, where you have the most. So you will have kundang, you will have gajus, you will have yellow cempaka, and etc. all planted within the same grid, and they grow the best together. So this is just a very systematic yet fun way to kind of discover what kind of local species that can grow in the most optimum manner. So when we transfer this into a development, it can grow within the shortest time and yet having the healthiest condition. Amazing. And this is such a rarity to have for property developers, right? Because ultimately, if you look into old school format of property developers, it's all about build out, cost efficiency, design efficiency, that's it. But when we come into this development, it's more than just buildings. And now we are in the Blue Ribbon, so we are right adjacent to Norton Gardens, and it's amazing that these kind of nature experimental things are happening concurrently with humans living in their homes. And this is the entire stretch where you have the sacrificial garden. So these plants are not meant to look beautiful, but it's meant to feed off insects. That's why they are not very elegant looking. But this is where you can have your families around to kind of just walk about. They will have sculptures around for you to just stop and take pictures. So every stops, they will have this in place to kind of describe what they are doing. So this is part of the Blue Ribbon, where it's supposed to be a sanctuary for fishes. So you can see continuous effort in trying to slow down the current so fishes can actually have spots to hide within. You will have aquatic plants around to kind of complete the entire food cycle for them, and it's working. You can see that the water is flowing faster on one side, but they stop on the other side so fishes can hide. But just one comment is, I thought that it would be better if they even out the levels a little bit so children can somewhat interact more with it. Okay, so now we are at the end of Norton Garden. So this will be where the courtyard homes will be, and at the end this will be a small little lake connected to the end of the swale, and same treatments, right? So you will have some aquatic plants to kind of have a small sanctuary for fishes to grow up. But what's very cool here in terms of observation, right, you can see shells around. So these are not supposed to be here. You look at it, all these are not supposed to be here. So based on the theme, they are a group of stork or some other birds that hangs out around here. So this is where they eat and feast. They go and tapao their food, come here and eat and leave it here, you see, which exactly prove the point of this being a transition for their flying path. If you're raising a family here, then it will be very, very cool for kids to just get off their electronic gadgets for a while during the weekends, at least for a few hours, take a stroll around, play around the water, get to know a bit more plants and animals and things like that. Very, very cool family activity for the weekend. And we are now in the final spot right after the Beta Sanctuary. So this will be the fruit forest, and this is where you have the fruit species. And just something to point out, right, as they have already allocated 62 acres for the entire Dragonfly Park, and these being part of the Dragonfly Park. In other words, those are canvas of land which can be developed into houses for sale, but they chose not to. Some are for compliance reasons, but I I would just gotta praise the effort in dressing up the whole space in such an elaborated manner, making it so cool to come, so people will actually spend time to kind of find out more about the initiatives of SDG and things like that. Very, very noble effort. How I wish more and more developers will adopt such methodology to kind of raise awareness towards this movement of building responsibly. This is some way of giving it back. Okay, today we're going to check out a unit called Type G5 where it's 32 by 65 on the lot size, so the build up is 2258 square feet. So this is what they call a garden home, where you can see they specifically emptied out part of the house to somewhere allocate a garden within. So when we come into the unit, first we'll have a small little foyer here, and this will be the living space. When you go in, then this will be the dining next to the garden, and this will be an open space that allows these corners to be all open, ventilated, also allowing daylighting into the space at the same time. At the back, this will be the kitchen, this will be the ground floor bedroom at the end, the bathroom and the stall right below the staircase. So there will be also an access to the backyard. Going up, then there will be a little void, and this connects to 3 bedrooms all together. You will have the master bedroom, where here you will have the ensuite bathroom, bedroom 1, here you will have bedroom 2, bedroom 3, and a family hall behind. Let's go check it out. So from the outside, driving back home, this will be the ultimate landed living lifestyle, where you can actually just park in your car within this 32 feet entrance, right? At the side, then you will have your letterbox, the position for your external water filter, your refuse area, and your electrical metering, water metering as well. And this is actually an example of the corner unit. If it's some intermediate, then there will be a building line here. Here you can see how elaborated the openings are. So this will be part of the living space here, this as well. And this is the front door going in. So on the outside, there will be electrical points for you to charge your EVs in the futures, right? But just one thing that I wish that they could have improved on will be the ramp going inward. So there will be way more gentle for moving things, strollers, or people with mobility issues. This will be a huge advantage. But anyway, going in, this will be the foyer, and whoa! So the width of the foyer here is 1.8 meters, and this is where you can perfectly put in a very stylo sideboard here for you to drop your keys or whatsoever, located right next to this hero space itself. So this is the true benefit of a garden home, because conventionally, if you think about a terrace house, the only source of light and opening will be the front and the back. Upstairs, maybe they have, that will be occasional if they have a skylight, but usually it's only the front and the back. That's it. That's why in the center of the house is always very dark, always very stuffy. And furthermore, what's make it worse is the entire approach towards architecture, where they will position all the bathrooms attached to the facade line. So the facade then becomes very limited for the bedrooms itself. For this one, then the entire innovation of it will be to just have a void within the layout. Then suddenly you will have an outer layer of building that is not really a party wall anymore. Like when you walk out from the foyer, this is the entire living room, and this living room feels so special. It's because of the openings at the front, not only that, at the side as well. So if this is not a corner unit, this will be party walls, but this remains. So these are the openings attached to the garden itself, and you can look at it, it's so bright. And with enough lightings, right, the entire spatial quality just improves drastically. So the wall-to-wall width for the living room here is 4.3, and the ceiling height is around 3.15 meters. Which makes this a perfect welcome space back home. Every time you open the door, back home, wow. And just for comparison purposes, right, 32 is always the width that you get for a semi-D, and 22 is always the width that you get for a terrace house. So this is somewhat in between, where the opening, the frontage is actually 32, but at the center is actually 22. So they use 10 feet as a void space itself. But this is where usually the controversy is lah. Like, yes, I know this is wonderful, this is beautiful, right? Like the entire opening to this, it's amazing. But what's wrong with just concreting it? What is the point of paying so much money so I'll have a little nook here in the center? Like, why? So without this void here, then this will entirely be enclosed, and the boundary line will be to the end. and this will be all artificial lighting, so the entire dining area will not be as unique like this. And this is actually located next to the kitchen space. As this is a show unit, so this entire partition system here is only for ID references. But it is a great idea actually. If you do heavy cookings often, then I would suggest this to be a partition or a sliding door. And coming in, the wall-to-wall width of the kitchen here is 3 meters, which they split evenly. I like it. And in comparison to the entire floor layout, I think this is nice. We can have a dual linear kitchen layout. On this side, this will be your hood and hob, top and bottom kitchen, and this will be all your electrical sockets. And the team suggested the laundry space to be integrated within the kitchen itself. And on this side, there will be a small opening here of a window to kind of have daylight into the space. If not, you can also open the windows here to have cross ventilation within the space itself. So that's great. And this will be the location of the basin. When you are washing dishes, you get to watch your kid playing outside in the void or garden area. Nice, okay? And this will then be the building line already for your backyard. And I like how much opening there is for the unit. And going outwards, we have kind of mentioned this many times within the channel. Every time after we visit their project, right, we will mention the very unique portion of the backyard gardens, where it used to be a very negative space where it's all exhaust, it's all rubbish, all dumped behind. There will be an exposed drainage, and it's that perfect place for crime because nobody goes there. But the team changed that entirely. Now it becomes like a private walkway for residents, and they even upgraded it to have edible components within the gardens itself. So through their entire approach to SDG, they are now actively planting lemongrass and pandan behind the backyard. So every time you kind of short of flavor within your dessert or whatsoever, right, you can always go and pluck some, add them into your food, which is amazing. So now landscapes are beyond space division, beyond aesthetic values. It's even useful. With this amount of openings across the house, right, the entire outdoor-indoor relationship feels very, very nice. Like you get to see who's around, yet having the landscape to somewhat provide privacy, not 100% visibility across houses. And if I have my kids to play around, right, or hang out, I have no worries because it's gated and guarded. Access is very limited to only residents. Coming up from the kitchen then, this will be the location of the shared bathroom. Okay, it's a rather sizable one. So you have your WC and basin, full height wall tiles located next to the ground floor bedroom. So the size of the space here is 3.3 by 2.9 meters. We can put in a queen size bed here, where you still have spaces for bedside tables, circulation space. This will be the area for your wardrobe, but I like the size of the opening. Unfortunately, this is not a direct access one due to safety reasons, but this one is actually the view outwards. Imagine if you just have the gardens here, when you open out, your bird will be chup 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 chup. Whew. It'll be so nice. And they even extend upwards. You have this extra panel on top of the windows for more daylight and ventilation. Awesome. But for information, aircon points, hot water points, all are provided. But the house will not come in this condition. It's actually bare condition when you buy. So please always check with the salesperson. For the entire ground floor, the floor tiles will be 600 by 600 mm applied across. So it looks nice. Going upwards, this is a 1.2 meter width staircase going up. On the side, you will have steel railings, and here you will have tile floorings along with tile skirtings. Okay? So coming upstairs, there will be laminated timber floor for the entire upper floor because it's all bedrooms. And located behind, this will be the family hall, just in case the ground floor living room is being occupied by your dad with his friends. This can be a very nice private corner for the family. It can also be a homework space if you're working from home, and that seems to be my main concern for this location itself, because back then this location has always been under the radar due to its accessibility. But now, if you look into all the brand new highway, especially Dash Highway, once it's opened up, right, this opened up access to Kota Damansara along with the entire development of the address. So on one side you have City of Elmina, you will have Hill Park, you will have Saujana building in between as well. The entire address is really in construction right now. Along with the completion of the hospital, along with the tertiary education facilities around the area, you can see a lot of factories around the road, and the completion of the main accessway. So the entire access coming into the development, the roads are well built, and you can see highways connecting here, left, right, center. That truly changed my perception towards this address itself, because we were here 3 years, 4 years ago, but look at the transformation right now. That's why I can't wait to go and check out the commercial area later to go and see the crowd. But so far, so good. Next to the family hall, this would be bedroom 2. And the size of the room is 3 meters by 3.3. Very sizable. Perfectly put in a queen size bed with bedside tables, your wardrobe. Then you would have a huge window because it's located at the back. So you have access to the facade line. Beautiful. And the ceiling for the upper floor is around 3.15 meters, so that's very nice. Moving on, this will be a second bedroom here next to the corridor. And the corridor here feels nice because the width is 1.32 meters. This is never possible for any other layouts, especially the availability of the window for a middle room like this, because if these were to be maximized in terms of build up all the way to the facade wall, there will not be a space to have the window here. So because of the void ground floor, they now have the option to put in a window here, so that adds a very nice twist to the bedroom in the center. So the room here is 3.3 by 2.9 meters, almost similar to the room next door, but this was the game changer. Like, if this window is not in existence, right, this will then be the family hall as usual, because a room without window is just weird. And this will be the window design. It's not a full height one, but a rather smaller size one overlooking the garden. So instead of this room being maximized all the way to the building line, yes, you will have more space, but then you won't have opportunity for window like this. And here now you can still see, if your kid is playing behind. So nice. And last but not least, this will be the principal bedroom. But here, I also have the argument where the length of the room now is 3.67 and the width is 3.8. This is just for the bed area, yeah. It's already very sizable. And if you're really interested in this layout type, the ongoing price, it's approximately $1 million right now. So it depends then, is it an end lot, is it a corner lot, or an intermediate? And please be informed, all developments here are mostly leasehold. That's something to take note lah. So after putting your king size bed here, you still have so much space. And the size of the opening is also humongous, but just at the entire frontage, including the bathrooms one, they only maximize up to 22 feet. So the entire argument is, why don't you just shift another 10 feet all over? Suddenly there will be more space to play around. Well, that's always the argument, but moving forward, now this is the wardrobe space and the dressing table area connected to your ensuite bathroom. So at the end of the flooring, there will be a nice little pebble wash area here. Then going in, this will be your WC, your basin, and your shower area, along with the feature wall, full height wall tiles, and this will be the window for ventilation. And I like this little drop here that is slanted right now. That is slanted. Okay, so last time it used to be just drop like that. It's very bad to the toes. But I just do like the entire direction of development right now, where it's heading towards inclusivity, sustainability, and things like that. We just need to learn how to do things more responsibly. And I guess that's all for the show unit right now. Something to point out, that only in this phase of Norton Garden you will have access to the clubhouse that is equipped with swimming pools and gym and other facilities. The one built at the earlier phase is not as complete, it's just facilities, it's not a real clubhouse. Therefore, there will be a difference between maintenance costs between the first phase and this current phase itself. So please do take note. And now let's go and check out the commercial area. So right next to the sales gallery, we are now in Grandio Labs, where you can see that this will be all the F&B outlets, and mainly these are the local businesses around. The developer will work with them during their initial stage to somewhat support them, and that has always been their approach in most of their projects. Like Ardens, you have Ardens Lab, you have the same in Johor, the same in Grandio, and it seems to be working. It just really encourages local businesses to really start up. And next to this, then you will have Jaya Grocer right in front, and Caring Pharmacies and things like that. You will have some fast food joints in the end, and right next to the labs, then this will be the latest phase of commercial areas that just finished completed, handing over soon, so that's very exciting. But now let's go and check out Explanate, the very first phase of things, because I just really want to go and gauge the people and population around. Let's go. So just a short 5 minutes drive away via the main road, but you can see that the entire main road there is actually packed with cars already. Anyway, we are now in Explanate, one of the very first commercial offices within this township itself, and now you can see tenancy is full. So here ground floor units rental is around 6,500 already, which is very promising. Here you will have electronic stores, clinics, F&Bs, computer shops, electrical appliances stores. As we are walking around Explanate, right, we can still see glimpses of the DNA from the developer, actually from the landscape area and things like that. Although they are still individual title, where the tenants get to do whatever they want to do with the facade, right, they still get to see like certain design flares within, which is good. And the shop lots here are doing really well, to the extent where Explanate Square, which is their new phase, is coming up very soon. And I guess that's all for the episode. It's now time for Sean's Take 3 on 3. The first thing I like would be the reputation of this developer itself, because it was only 3 years ago, and this is something that we always take for granted. Like when we look into scale models, when we look into the perspectives provided or the renderings provided by the developer, right, we're like, whatever lah, right? But when to see them transferring all these images into reality, right, that ability we really take for granted. Like from the very last time, it was still bare, infrastructure was still not in place and things like that. Now this location has turned into homes for a lot of people. A lot of people has moved into this development and look into the commercial area, and there's a lot of things that's going on, and they are able to do it in time. Although there was the lockdown or whatsoever, it didn't hinder them. They were able to do it in a consistent manner in terms of design. From southern, northern, and in central Malaysia, all their approach to design are very consistent, very uniform. That's very hard to do. And what I enjoy the most from the group is this innovative approach towards landed property. Landed product has always been this nasi lemak product where you don't really need to sell. Every Malaysian will crave for it. That being said, the design team has always been pushing boundaries for their landed products. Like the latest single-story courtyard home has been a big hit within the market. It's awesome. It's sold out instantaneously. We were supposed to check that out, but sold out already. Then nothing much to talk about actually. Then the garden homes, the co-homes, they are constantly pushing the innovation for a landed product. So that's amazing. And very close to that, then will be the second approach. Beyond livability, beyond wellness, beyond comfort, beyond security, I really do enjoy the sustainability approach that they are taking for this township. So the entire SDG approach was executed within Eco Grandeur itself, and it takes up a rather big chunk of areas, all for the sake of awareness, so residents do understand and they know what is being done to preserve nature. And they have done all the research on the flying path for birds, document all the flora and fauna available on site before it was transferred into a development, and they designate out the entire design path to things. So now it becomes a leisure activity where you get to bring your kids during the evening, go and learn about trees, learn about plants, play around the creeks. Ultimately, after they have tabulated the perfect mix using the Miyazaki method, the end result will be an improvement in lifestyle for residents in the future. There will be a lot of canvases for landscape, and this is where they can try to somewhat hack the system for better growth, leveraging only on local species, and instead of being harmful to the environment, now they are actually complementing whatever that's existing originally. So that's amazing. It's really just moving one dimension ahead beyond just the floor and wall and ceiling. And last of all would be this garden home design. I like that they actually took out a void with it, because that just opens up another facade for the entire home. Imagine if it's 4 walls stick to the boundary line, right? There will not be any openings at the side unless you're the end lot or the corner lot. So with this approach, we have this void space where your living room and dining room will be fabulous in experience. For all the bedrooms upstairs as well, all will have openings. But there's always an argument where some buyers would prefer more quantity of space. You just give me the space lah, please. Well, there's existing semi-Ds, or there are definitely other products that suits your taste. If you're really into the quantity side of things, maybe this garden home is not for you lah. But for me, I like it. But just that, I hope that for their future phases, they get to integrate less changes in levels to be a bit more friendly to those with mobility issues. And from the entrance coming in, between the toilet and the rooms, all this kind of thing can be minimized. Well, that's another step forward lah, I think. But they're already taking baby steps to it. I just hope to see that more lah, because they get everything right already. And for the 3 things I don't like, number 1, the entire development is a leasehold project. Especially when it's a landed product, leasehold tends to have a stigma to it. But I only think that leasehold is a problem when your neighbor lot is a freehold. So there will be a direct comparison on, oh, they're freehold landed, here leasehold, I prefer freehold. Then it will be an argument. But now almost the entire area is all leasehold, so I do not think that it's such an issue. Plus, it's more of a comparison between strata versus individual, between having a clubhouse versus those who doesn't, and between brands actually. So it's not so much of a comparison between leasehold and freehold around this area. The second thing then will be the distance from the city especially. So if you're working within Kuala Lumpur setting, Damansara setting, right, there's a definite travel time required for residents to go into KL, definitely. But it has drastically improved after the completion of the few highways, especially Dash Highway, Lata Highway, North-South Highway, Guthrie Highway and things like that. So those drastically improve the accessibility to the location. However, please do inform about the travelling time and distance required. Last of all will be the argument of format of housing. So here, as we mentioned, these are all stratified landed projects where you have a gate, you have a guardhouse, residents will need to pay maintenance fees, and everybody will need to maintain the entire infrastructure around, including the bridge, the roundabouts, the landscape approach, the sidewalks, the park, the creeks and things like that. All of those will be under the maintenance of the development, and residents will need to pay maintenance fees for it. Some who are not as familiar with the format then will not like it, because like, why? I buy individual title, no need to pay. Well, why here I need to pay so many things? But only when you have the maintenance fee structure, where you have the stratified structure, all this could be possible. Now we can build beyond just 3 vectors. We can take care of the environment, we can take care of wellness on top of security and quality living and facilities and convenience and things like that. Within this area, there are just choices in abundance. There are so many developers who are building similar products around the area. And the entire stretch of road right just now, all are just building landed homes, landed homes, landed homes. So it will be a direct comparison, but then that's the whole point of the channel as well, to let people make informed decisions. So be informed about why you are paying a little bit more for a place to call home. Would you rather have a developer that cares more about environment, builds clubhouse with swimming pool facilities and gyms and things like that in a township manner, or you prefer individual title type of setting where I just have my own home and that's about it? Everything else I don't need. Entirely up to you, right? So there are just choices in abundance around this entire address. Well, on a good side then, it means demand is picking up, awareness is picking up for this location. So that's always good. And I guess that's all for this episode. Shout out to the team for having me, giving me the private tour around their entire sustainable approach. It's a mind-opening thing. I would never have expected such element within a township itself. So go check it out if you guys have time, if you guys come across this township. And if you really like this episode, like it, share, and even subscribe for more information like this. Until next time, this is Sean Tan. Ciao.